Hi, La Montagnard 89 again here. Well, auditions and callbacks safely in the past. We now have our full cast for Richard II, and we're really excited. We just had our read-through a few days ago, and the entire cast gets along really great. And basically, yeah, we're really excited for the show. We got a lot of our first picks. I won't explain how common casting works here because I only have a 10-minute video. But basically what happens is every show on campus auditions at the same time. So more than one show might cast the same person, and then the actors get to pick which shows they're doing. We got a lot of our first round picks. We got a lot of our very high up alternates, which is great. I mean, we really have a cast that we're fantastically happy with, and they also happen to be really nice people who all get along really well. So that's going to be great because we have to spend a lot of time with each other over the next month and a half or so. So it is going to be a really great ride for everybody. So I think today what I want to do is quickly talk about the general cutting of the play, how I went about doing this, which was kind of an interesting experience, and then after that. Just talk about some of the characters and some of the things that we've noticed through the audition process and how we had to think about casting them. So first, the cutting of the script. There were three things that I looked at in terms of deciding whether to cut a line or not. The first one is comprehensibility. I can understand the entire play because if I have a book in front of me, I can read it and I can look up notes on it and I can understand everything. But the audience doesn't have that luxury. If they hear a line for the first time, and there's no way in hell that you can't be demonstrative enough to make it understandable, it's out, gone, done. Second kind of thing that we like to cut are the very repetitive things. Now, a lot of lines in this play are very necessary, so there's not too much of this, but every so often you get a character who just goes on and on with like 12 different metaphors for the same thing, and we like to pare that down because after about 6 metaphors, you usually get the picture of what someone's talking about. There's a moment in Act 2, Scene 1 where John Gaunt makes some comment about how Richard can't keep up the craziness that that defines his reign, and he uses like a ridiculous number of metaphors to explain how this can't continue. And after a while, you get the picture, you could move on. And then the third type of cutting issue are things that are very dated. Things that really just zero in on this very strict medieval sense of what the play is, and that's not necessarily always necessary. There's a lot of stuff in the very heavy formality of Act 1 that goes because of this. There's also things like this. This is really funny. The Duke of York makes some comment about how Richard is very easily swayed to do certain things by his flatterers and followers. And basically, he mentions Italy because Italy apparently was cool, and Richard is easily influenced to do things that come from Italy. And that comment, when I read it, I was like, okay, that might be true, but is there any way in hell that isn't just going to confuse the crap out of people watching this? Like, why is he talking about Italy? Like, Italy is never mentioned again. It's not like something that people would care about in this play. So that is a third thing. Something that we did not need to do is cut for length, and this is something a little unusual. Last semester we did Hamlet. That you have to cut for length because if anyone's seen the Kenneth Branagh Hamlet, you know that the full thing is about 4 hours. And you're not going to do a 4-hour play. You don't want to kill the actors and you don't want to kill the audience. So that's an issue for some of the longer Shakespeare plays, but not an issue for this. This started out at 82 pages, which is very manageable, but we cut it down to about 75, just getting rid of stuff that fell into those categories I mentioned earlier. Now a discussion of a few of the characters. These are things that we've noticed just looking at, as we were casting it, and we tried to get a vibe of what we felt the characters were like. Richard and Henry are very difficult, interesting characters. We noticed this a lot. Henry Bolingbroke, he has to be very active and sharp, but he doesn't have the rhetorical edge that John Gaunt and Richard have. So there's this sense that he's very solid and he knows what he's doing. He's very active, but he doesn't have that sort of flowery, kind of high-flown ability to express what he wants to do. He can just sort of do it. Whereas Richard, on the other hand, for much of the play, he's a little harsh at the beginning, and we had to find someone who could play this imperious sort of nature, but still have a magnetism and an ability to really, connect with other people and get them to feel a certain way. The thing about Richard is he can make people feel for him, but he can't make people do what he wants them to do ultimately. And not usually. Some people he can, but mostly he can't. And then in general, for other characters, we had the Duke of York, who has to be really solid, and we got someone who's really solid, the sober, sobriety and frustration you have with the Duke of York. And then John Gaunt, we just got someone who was great at playing older. John Gaunt is older and sort of has this, old school mentality to him, and we got someone who could really do that. We've got someone really solid for Northumberland. Northumberland is a bit of a hard ass, and that's we were really happy about who we have for Northumberland, because you need someone like really kind of scary. We actually at our read through had our assistant director reading for Northumberland, because our Northumberland actually got the flu, but she'll be back soon. But our assistant director was reading for it, and it's really funny because this is an entirely female cast, so you have all of us in our normal female voices, and then you had our assistant director who has a voice that makes Darth Vader sound like he's on helium. Kind of scary, but really funny. That'd be one way to make this play a comedy, which it isn't. We got a great Duchess of York, we've got a great Duchess of Gloucester and Hotspur. We've got people who really fit these roles, and they're all slightly different, but you have this everyone has got really solid language. That's something that you really need. If you've taken a peek at the play, the language is intense, so that's important. But it is all in verse, which at first might seem a little intimidating, but actually the reason why a lot of stuff was in verse back then, very strict formality, is because of the ease of memorization. A lot of it is rhymed. So just there are these little things in your head that you can put this stuff down. You can know if you're off because your meter won't be working, and your rhymes will be off. So that's actually kind of helpful for some of this. So with that said, I think that's all done for now. After this, we'll have more detailed things about various scenes, things that pose problems, various directorial, producerial decisions they're still up in the air as they start falling in. We'll start talking more about that. The big question right now, should we use British accents? That's the big thing that we're discussing now. It would have a little more authenticity, but on the other hand, if everyone doesn't have the same kind of accent, sometimes that gets a little troublesome, and people will notice it and it'll be more of a problem. Oddly enough, the only person in our cast who is British is the girl playing the Queen, and the Queen is French. Fun little tidbit there. So with that, I shall bid you adieu until next time. Hopefully I'll have another update for you soon. I know it's been a little while, but keep up with us, and I have a link again to the play in the, that's the wrong direction, in the video description. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you next time. Peace.